What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. Me. I would be honored if you would let me entertain you and your guests. Wedding season. You know, I say wedding season. Weddings are all the time, but I'm so glad that weddings are coming back. They are. They're coming back, baby. I know Valentine's just happened, and I've already gotten call after call after call after call because Valentine's is a great time to get engaged. And then, you know, after the New Year's and after Christmas, call after call after call. I love it. Love it. Weddings are coming back. Yes, as we break out of this coronavirus. That's why they're coming back. In case you're listening to this many, many years into the future, and it's the only time capsule that you have of this time of 2020 and 2021. All right, today on the program, I have Stacey Simpson. Who's Stacey Simpson? And why did I say Stacey the way that I said it? Because she spells her name a certain kind of way. And if you don't know who Stacey Simpson is, you're going to know in the next few minutes just a little bit more. Yeah, so stick around. This week's shows, as we break out of coronavirus quarantine, I have one faithful show, one public show, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's your favorite place to be in the whole wide world. Better than Disney World. Better than Disney World? Fight me. Go ahead. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. They got pool tables, 10 diamond-style pool tables. In fact, they have a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try to make some money, try your hand playing pool, you might be able to do so right there at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, while you're waiting to sing right next to me on stage. Now, we are taking care of each other as we walk into the Rab. Make sure you wear your mask as you're walking around. If you have to go to the restroom or walking from one point to the other, put your mask on. But while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and having your food, you can pull the mask down so you can get at your mouth. Yeah. Trying to take care of each other and, you know, use the sanitizer at the front door. And I think there's sanitizer all around the place and at the bar, and many of the tables have it. And then when you get done in the bathroom, wash your hands. You should have washed your hands anyway. You should be washing your hands anyway. Just taking care of each other. Hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's some coronavirus COVID-19 vaccines that have been getting taken. So I know some people that have gotten at least their first dose, and some have gotten their second dose. So I'm kind of excited for them and for me and for the rest of us. Hey, soon this will be a happy memory. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Stacey Simpson. Stacey Simpson. Now, I got her on the Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDan, or just look up Keys Dan and look for the Radio What logo right next to my name. How about that? All right, let's get into it with Stacey Simpson. Stacey Simpson, Skyping Stacey Simpson now. Look at you wearing red. I knew I should wear red today. I had to wear red today.
I have to wear red. I'm wearing red all month long. So.
Stacey Simpson in the house. What's up? It's Keys Dan. What Makes You Famous podcast. How's your day? Yeah.
Stacey's in the house.
Well, all right. I have little hearts in the background. If you watch the video version of this, there's going to be little red hearts because I know you're all about the Heart Association. That's one of the tent poles of you. And then you have glamour. Then you're a beauty queen. And there's so much to talk about. But I want you to write your Wikipedia, the little blurb at the top. Give the people an idea of who a Stacey Simpson is.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor, which is probably my claim to fame. I was given 8 weeks to live 25 years ago. And since then, I have done multiple activities raised over $4 million for different cancer charities. And then 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with heart failure as a side effect from my original cancer treatments. And a year later, I was hit by a truck riding my bicycle, training for a triathlon. I was the first female in a stem cell program to ever receive cardiac stem cells to repair the damage to my heart. But my heart function had dropped to 10% in 2012, and they told me I had just a couple of months to live. And I survived, and I've had double bypass since then. I also am a pageant title holder and have been competing in pageants since I was 16, and have won tons of crazy titles over the years and do that. And then I also have my own podcast and internet show called PageantryNOW. And then I have a very successful and a new show that we just started. It's on VIP television, which is called The Crown Table, where I am a co-host, and it's kind of like The View for pageants. And we have amazing title holders that come on and they tell their stories. And then, gosh, craziness. My life is nuts. And then I actually own a gymnastics company, which seems to be pretty successful. And that's really been what I make my money from for the last 37 years.
So many streets to go down. What avenue do I explore first? Well, the first thing I want to know, and probably the thing that pops into my head, I don't know a lot about stem cell research. It's a very controversial thing. What do you know about stem cells? Where do they come from? How do they get harvested? Is it are they, I think the thing is the killing babies. Are you killing babies, to make a stem cell?
And see, that is what people have this misconception about. And in the study that I am in, they took the stem cells from my hip, and they took them into a lab, and 3 months later they took my own stem cells and made them into cardiac stem cells. So basically, stem cells are what make your body and everything in your body grow. It's what, when you're in the womb and you're a baby, those are the things that become the different parts of your body. So there's some for your skeleton, there's some for your major organs, there's some for your skin, there's some for your blood. And what ends up happening with stem cell research is they generally take the stem cells from a recipient or from a donor. In this case, I was my own donor, but I actually gave my stem cells to somebody else. So the day that I received my stem cells, another woman was in the OR next to me, and she got mine from what they harvested from me. And the same exact procedure she got because of me. So, but basically, they take them out of your hip and they give them, and they put them in a lab and they grow them and they make them into the thing that you need to be fixed in your body. And in my case, it was my heart. And my heart function went from 10% to 45%, which is unheard of. So I'm super, super proud of what that is. And when I was diagnosed with my cancer 25 years ago, stem cells didn't exist. And if I had them then, I probably would have had way less challenges than I have now, because all of the other subsequent problems have been diagnosed from that original chemotherapy and radiation. So
originally you were doing a lot of chemotherapy, but the stem cells, you've just wiped away probably, my one listener? No, okay, no. All my listeners are probably thinking, if they had any doubts that stem cells work, you are living proof. 10% to 45%. Hey, to me, it sounds like that's not a lot, but it is a lot to go from 10 to 45. That you can have somewhat of a normal life. Is that what you've experienced? And then running, were you running before that or after that?
Before that, I was doing triathlons, and I was doing marathons, and then I started doing triathlons. So when I got hit by the truck, I was actually training for a triathlon and got hit by a truck. And so we actually went back after I got my stem cells. It was 5 years ago today that I ran my first half again, which was crazy. So, and I was on a transplant list. The intent was to get me a new heart, and now we don't have to do that, at least now. So, the continued hope is that I will continue with the stem cell process. Obviously, once COVID finishes, we'll go back to the research part of it, and I am going to get my second set of stem cells, which I'm so excited about, because I felt like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Cocoon, but that is exactly the way I felt. It was like Cocoon. I was like, all right, let's go do something.
Yeah, I'm into comic book movies, and I know that there was a movie. I think one of Spider-Man's foes is the crocodile, and one of his researches is trying to grow like a crocodile can grow tails, and lizards and starfish can grow their hands and such. And that research just fascinates me. I know it has to be real. Yes, it's been fictionalized on screen, but I know that it has to be real. And you're letting me know that with the stem cells, you can actually grow stuff, and it's not harvesting from babies all the time. I'm guessing sometimes, maybe, if there's a baby that's in demise or in that they might be able to harvest that. But you're letting me know that you could take a stem cell from your own body and inject it into,
Right.
put it, stir it up in a lab, stir it up in that little pot and add a little paprika and put it right back in there. And you
Get a little garlic, a little onion, you're good to go.
and you grow yourself a heart, man. A heart. A heart. You're the Tin Man. A heart.
Exactly. Wow, I never thought about that. That's a great analogy, because that was really like, I had a med student look at me and he said, "You're going to die if you don't get a heart." He said, "But I really think you need to try this stem cell program." And everything that's happened to me has been literally an accident. My original cancer was found because I got into a car accident. They wouldn't have found it. I would have died.
What kind of cancer was that first one?
The first one was Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I had a tumor this size of my hand attached to my heart. And then I had a tumor that went from the left side of my shoulder, wrapped all the way around my neck, and had moved my trachea over. So when they put up the x-ray pictures, because I did chest and neck because I was hurting. And the doctor looked at me, she goes, "You're staying for a while." And I was like, oh my gosh, because all I saw was black. You could see, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Is that a genetic disease, Hodgkin's lymphoma?
No, actually it is. They think that it's caused by a virus, the monovirus, believe it or not. That is a theory. And no one in my family has ever had any kind of cancer. I was the first one. So we were like, oh, let's give it all to her. She's good. So I've had breast cancer as well as skin cancer since then.
Well, I remember kids in school, every once in a while, hey, that girl got mono. That guy got mono over there. I never knew exactly what mono is. Did you ever have mono in school or
Yeah.
as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something
I had
that
it
you
when
did.
I was 16. So yeah.
How do you get mono? What is mono?
It is a virus, kind of. I mean, I know it's not like COVID, but it's one of the communicable viruses that you can get. They call it the kissing disease, but I didn't get it from kissing. A friend of mine had it when I was in high school, and I caught it from her being around her. I mean, you can get it from saliva or from pieces in the air. I mean, who knows, man? Like, all this stuff is. But I caught it, and it basically is a disease of your lymph nodes, of your lymphatic system. And so I got these huge, it was like these huge lymph nodes that were all swollen. And I was out out of school for 4 weeks, and then it went away, and I went back to school. And
wow, fuzzy history in my head. I always thought of it as the kissing disease. That girl was doing some kissing. That guy was doing kissing, and I guess you just hit the nail on the head. It could be, maybe, saliva.
It could be.
But you were out of school for 4 weeks and you came back strong. No, what happened?
Yeah, I had an issue the whole time. After that, every time I would overdo things or overwork myself, I would start to get sick again, and my lymph nodes would get swollen. They also call it Epstein-Barr, or chronic fatigue syndrome, is what mono can turn into. And then subsequently, if it is not treated or not taken care of, it can become lymphoma. They don't know that for sure, but that's kind of what the look is. But anytime I would overdo it, which I don't ever overdo it, I just totally sit home and chill all the time.
Well, that's the theory. So where did you grow up? What hospitals were you in at that time at 16?
16, I was in Miami. I'm in Miami now, and I got treated at a Baptist hospital system. But I'm originally from Michigan. I moved here, went to Miami when I was 13. And I pretty much grew up here in Miami. I have been all around the country. I lived in Philly. I lived in Colorado, where I went to university. Lived in Dallas for 10 years, but I keep coming back. I'm not sure why, but
I was a firefighter in the Florida Keys, and I worked as a tech at Baptist Hospital in Miami on Kendall Drive. Yes. Yes, I did that for about 10 years.
Gosh.
Yeah, from 97 to 2004, I was working at Baptist Hospital, and from 89 to 99, I was a firefighter in Key Largo. So I'm born and raised in Miami. I know the dirt that you're sitting on right now.
Where'd you go to school?
Western High School in Fort Lauderdale. But I went to Lake Stevens Elementary in Miami, and St. Monica Catholic School in Miami as well. I'm not sure if they're still there, but I started off as a Catholic boy, and now I'm American. You grow. But no, Miami. I'm kind of wishing that I was there right now with the weather that we're having right here in Central Arkansas. Yikes!
Crazy. Do you guys have snow right now? Or
I'm almost at 12 inches of snow. I just looked outside. Yeesh.
Bananas. Oh my God. Like, I can't even. Yeah. When I left Dallas 10 years ago, this same week, we got 14 inches of snow overnight. And that was the most snow that anybody had ever had. And now this craziness, I feel so bad for my friends that are anywhere like Orlando. Like right now, is freaking out. I'm so sorry for you guys.
Well, like the Cowboys used to say, it's snowing in old Mexico. It's snowing in Mexico.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember it snowed in Miami in '77. I think I was in first grade, and we had snow in Miami. Nothing that would stick to the ground, but it was enough for all the kids to get out of class and go outside and, wow, look at this, something dropping from the sky. But this global nonsense, this global climate change, it used to be called global warming. I'm wishing for global warming right about now, but no, it's happening. Climate change is real. But from what I understand, '94, it was a pretty bad storm here in Arkansas. But I've only been here since 2009. I was working on the radio down in South Miami, in Florida City, Homestead, in that area. Yeah, I was on 105.5.
So you know everywhere that I am, because I used to live in the Grove. I just moved to right off of Coral Way and 27th Avenue. But I grew up in West Kendall. Like, I grew up I got my original treatments at Baptist, and now I'm at the University of Miami at the hospital there. So everything that I'm doing is here, which I think is fantastic. I cannot believe you are from here.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and grandma are still in the Florida Keys, and they always tell me, "Come on home, son, come on home." So my 91-year-old grandma, 91. Aww. Yeah, and she's down there. She's right on the Gulf of Mexico in Key Largo. But no, you're making me reminisce, making me homesick.
Oh man, it's too cold there right now.
It is too cold. It is too cold, and I know I'm probably losing some of the listeners, but no, I want to hear about your trials, your travels through Miami, and make me remember all the things that I used to know. I was a club DJ on South Beach, and I worked at the Cameo and the Spot and Iguanas. I did that for a little while, mostly I was a wedding DJ in the Florida Keys, so a lot of destination weddings. So yeah, but I mean, you're treated at Baptist Hospital. That was my stint for a little while. I was working there, and I was in the ER. And I tell anybody whoever wants to be a nurse or a doctor, work in the ER and work overnight, because you don't have too many bosses. And the ER, the word on the street was it was treat them and street them. Get them in, fix them,
get them out,
and get them out. Either get them on the street or get them upstairs where they need to be. But it was real quick. Bam, fix them. And it was a very interesting job. But my mom, she's a nurse, and she was in the cancer ward. So she spent a lot of time with some people, and sometimes held their hands as they went to their next reward, I guess. They pass away. But being in the cancer ward, she was there probably a year, and that was about all she could take.
It's pretty crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. Two of my friends, I've held their hand as they passed away, literally, like as they took their last breath from cancer. So I know it's heartbreaking because you don't want to. I mean, and honestly, even when I got diagnosed, and I was 30, so I wasn't too young, but there was another young woman that was diagnosed similarly. And my oncologist said, "Hey, can you talk to this lady? Because you're not breaking down, or you keep fighting." They really thought I was in denial because I was like, "Okay, whatever. Just give me whatever treatments we're going to do. Let's just go. Come on, I got life. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go." And they said, "Can you please talk to her and try to motivate her?" And I did, and she said, "No, I'm dying." And she died a few weeks later, and that kind of put it in perspective for me, because I realized how important your will to live is, and how important it is for your body to have that positivity and to have that thing that makes your body go, "Oh, we're supposed to be working the right way here. Let's make it happen." So.
Yeah, mom's a breast cancer survivor, and it seems to me that once you survive, once you make it through, I'm living with cancer. Once you get through, then all you want to do is help the next guy and the next girl that's going through the same problem. Give them some advice, and that's what I see that you have done. You're a par for the course. You have gone through it, and now you're helping other people. Tell me about your times with, I guess it was the Heart Association. I don't do a lot of research on these things because I want to have the conversations. I want to have the conversations come out.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
So I think maybe I'm lazy. I might be lazy. That's possible, and I don't like to edit. But, now what are you doing with the Heart Association?
So I last year started working with the American Heart Association because obviously my story is pretty impressive, just from the standpoint of what I've gone through with my heart issues. Because I didn't mention, I've also had double bypass because of the radiation that I had. It actually caused my arteries to have a 90% blockage, which they found when they were doing the stem cells, which they wouldn't have found. It was a miracle that they found it. Again, God has a reason.
Yeah, you go through one thing. I'm in a car wreck. Oh no, you got Hodgkin's disease. Hey, I'm doing. Okay, sure. Oh, now you got heart disease. Oh, okay. What? You're finding these things out. Okay, yeah. Believe in God, don't believe in God. Is something steering you, in that direction?
There is something keeping me alive, keeping me here to tell my story, hopefully to inspire somebody to move them forward. And so I joined a group online that was part of Go Red, and got interviewed to actually become a Go Red Real Woman. Every year they have a different group of women that they highlight for the Go Red for Women program, because heart disease is the number one killer of women in the world. And so the American Heart Association started Go Red with the intent of trying to have people in the month of February wear red and share heart disease and how it can affect women so significantly. I mean, everybody. Heart disease is the number one killer of people in the world, which I think is even significant with what's going on with COVID. Heart disease is still part of the COVID issues as well. So that's like an ongoing other piece that's happening right now in the world. But I was interviewed. I became a semifinalist. I didn't make it. And then the American Heart Association said, "We would really like you to become a spokesperson for heart failure this year and be our Go Red Woman for heart failure and tell your story." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll wear red all of February and I'll make these appearances." And I started doing that. And I loved it. And I was really enjoying working with the American Heart Association. And then the pandemic hit. And I was even doing podcasts for them and sharing my story and just trying to talk to people about what heart failure is like and what the symptoms are and things to look forward to or look for if you have it and what to expect. And then the pandemic hit and my heart kind of went crazy as everything shut down in March of 2020. And I was having anxiety issues and got rushed to the hospital because my blood pressure had skyrocketed. Everything had just shut down. And I was accidentally put into the COVID unit when I got brought to the hospital. And they didn't have anything to monitor me as a heart patient. So I was monitoring myself on my Apple Watch and on my iPhone. And luckily, I carry a blood pressure cuff when I travel. I actually keep a bag packed in case I have to go to the hospital for whatever reason, or if I have to travel. It's been more often until a year ago, traveling. And I spent 8 hours in the hospital without seeing a doctor and without getting any treatment because they thought I had COVID and they wouldn't come near me because I had a cough when I came in.
Well, did you end up getting the vids?
I did not. What? I did not.
She's one of the immunes. Get her blood now.
Please. Oh my gosh. Please. Like I told you the other day, I got the first vaccine 2 weeks ago yesterday. And I'm having some side effects from it right now, but I am like, please, dear God, let me get through this. I did not get COVID when I was in the unit. I have been inside for the last year. Like I haven't really done anything at all. Miami has, on a normal day, we have 1,500 new cases a day. It's been as many as 5,000 to 6,000 a day in Miami. So I pretty much have been sitting in my house going, what's going on, dude?
Being from Miami, I could tell you Miami's full of crazy peoples. We go our own way. We think our own way. We do what we want. I can't go to the beach. Well, guess what? I'm going to the beach. I can't go to the club. Guess what? El club, mano, vamos a la club.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Yeah, man. So, but hey, Miami's for me. I understand. Let me be on the tourist bureau of Miami. I definitely still remember and miss and feel.
Right now, everybody wants to be in the tourist bureau of Miami. They don't want to be anywhere they are right now. They want to be down here because from the weather's beautiful. I love it, and honestly, Miami's fantastic. I do. Oh, yeah. There's something magical about being on the ocean and being able to, and it has this different kinetic energy here. It is a huge melting pot, like nothing like you hear about anywhere else in the United States.
Yes.
And we have people from all over the world. Everybody thinks it's just Cubans, but we have a huge French population here. We've got lots of South Americans here. We've got lots of people from Central America. We've got lots of people from Europe. It's kind of crazy. Like, in my gymnastics company, we have whole classes that only speak French. We have whole classes that speak only Spanish. We had one group of kids that were all Chinese, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can add another language.
Do it. I remember down there I said hello and goodbye in at least 20 different languages. It's a tourist town, and it is a melting pot. And for anybody who thinks that America's not a melting pot, just go to Miami, sit on South Beach for a little while. You're going to see every type of person in the whole wide world walk on by you. You think you could do that in New York? I think you can. There's something there was like a Central Park. If you sit at Grand Central Station, eventually everybody will walk by. Everybody will walk by at some point if you give the time enough. But I think in Miami, the biggest suburb of New York is Miami. Because the best wine the greatest wine in New York is I want to go to Florida.
They're all here. It is. When I first moved here, I hate saying it, but I grew up outside of Detroit, so I was very let's say sheltered.
Of course.
And I moved here and I went, wait, Ricky Ricardo is real?
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I was like, there are people of all kinds of different colors and they speak different languages and they got different religions. Yeah. And I was like, I was so sheltered living in Michigan. And when I got here, I went, this is the coolest thing ever.
It is. Yeah. I'm half Cuban. I'm half Irish. I'm half Italian. I know that's three halves. I'm a big dude. But, and I know that I had a first cousin that was black as night. And Armando, he's not black. He's Cuban. Es cubano.
He's Cuban. Hello.
And I'm like, okay. And that's what I grew up with. And that's how people should know. People are people all over the world. They all want the same things. Get along. Come on down the middle with the rest of us. Enjoy life and enjoy each other. Oh. So, but, speaking of enjoying life, 16 years old, you're getting into pageants. Obviously, you're a beauty queen already. You're obviously gorgeous, but how did you say, you know what? all this needs to be on stage. Let's get up. You started at 16. Who pushed you into that? Who got you into that?
Okay, this is going to make my story even crazier,
Do it.
which it's going to add a layer to this. I have multiple layers of an onion. There's no doubt about it. So I have Asperger's, which is a type of autism, and you wouldn't ever be able to tell it. But now, I mean, clearly I speak a lot, but that's part of my affect. And I wouldn't have, back then I wasn't really good at making eye contact, and I was great at speaking, but just endless speaking. It wasn't always great. Additionally, I grew up in a household of abuse. So I was sexually abused at the age of 5 by a neighbor, and then sexually abused by my grandfather at 11, and then physically and emotionally abused by my mom, my dad, most of my life. Because people didn't understand me. It was really hard for me I don't think that, because autism wasn't a thing to understand then, it was really hard for anybody to really understand who I was or why I worked the way I did, because I was in my head a lot, and I would just tell information that was like endless encyclopedia type information. Anyway, so...
Wait, that's no excuse. I don't understand you, so I'm going to abuse you? I'm going to sexually abuse you? No, that's no excuse.
No. Okay, so, and the sexual abuse, I agree, was, and I don't think that any of the physical or mental abuse was appropriate either. Like, don't misunderstand me.
Okay.
I don't think that I deserved it anyway. I don't think that it was supposed to happen that way. It is not what a loving relationship is like. It just, like, it's crazy. Like, that and a lot of it I really compartmentalized for a really long time. But the way I got into pageants was I got into a fight with my mom. My mom was not mentally well. So she would like over accentuate things and tell people that I was doing things that I wasn't. And she told my dad that I was killing her, and he came home and he punched me in the face, and I had to have reconstructive surgery to put my cheek back together. And
wait, you say not mentally well, was diagnosed not mentally well? Like, was she treated or untreated?
Was not treated, would not get treatment. I believe she was delusional. She had a really severe case of OCD to the point where the house had to be vacuumed every day. In semicircles using the nozzle of the vacuum cleaner, because she wanted to see where people walked in the house. I wasn't allowed to brush my teeth in the house because it would leave stains in the sink. If I left watermarks, they had to be wiped down immediately. Water wasn't allowed to be left in the kitchen sink. I had to wash my hair outside in the garage because she didn't want me splashing the walls. Everything had to be dusted every day. The laundry had to be done every day. She was unwell, and was unwell. She passed away in September of 2020, and was unwell until she passed away. I mean, we started to kind of reconcile some of the stuff, but refused to get treatment. And every time that I said to her, because we were put into family therapy because of what happened with me. The way I got into a pageant is 3 months after the surgery. She thought that it would be a good way to raise my self-esteem and put me in a pageant. And I mean, I don't think it was the best decision, but it actually ended up being a great situation for me, because I started to learn how to deal with people in a much more personal and interpersonal way. Because I was required to do interview and to speak on stage and to not be this goofy kid that I was being, and still try to understand that I had this major scar on my face, and here I was, this kid that was going through all this stuff. So
I've talked to a lot of pageant people, queens and princesses, and even pageant people that help other people. But there's different circuits. What circuit were you in, and what did they require of you? Was anything embarrassing for a 16-year-old? I have a 15-year-old myself. She doesn't. I mean, she's fully clothed. She doesn't want to take anything off to expose herself to anything. And she's a dancer. She goes to dance class at least 4 times a week. So, but she's conscious about her body. Tell me about 16 in a pageant.
All right, so I already had body issues. Like I really didn't feel comfortable or confident. I was curvy early on. And so I was borderline anorexic. I probably ate, every other day. It was pretty bad. And the fact that my parents didn't even notice that is crazier. But I did go, the first pageant I did was just like a local state pageant. It kind of like a toddlers and tiaras kind of thing. And I placed first runner up and I was like, okay, great, let's stop. And then I was like, no, I kind of think I want to do this. And then I did one that was called Sunburst, which is a bigger, at that point it was a smaller system. Now it's international.
And this is in Michigan?
No, this is here in Miami.
So, okay. That's right. 13 you got there. 13, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
And then I did Sunburst, which was here in Florida, and it didn't require a swimsuit because I was still kind of like not comfortable in my body. So I was like, let me think about it. And Miss Teen USA, the first year of Miss Teen USA was 1984. And I went, I want to do that. I want to be that girl. So the following year, I competed for the title of Miss Florida Teen USA. It was Miss Miami Teen USA. I made it into the top 10, but I mean, I don't know if you growing up in Miami, you remember Tanner in the Morning?
I remember Mike. Man, he's one of my heroes. He was one of my mentors for a little bit. Tanner La Mañana. Yes.
Yeah. So he was one of the judges. So I was
not Mike,
total
Bill.
Freak out. Yeah. Bill. Yeah. Bill Tanner. So he was one of the judges. So that was crazy for me because I was like, okay, this is the coolest thing that I'm ever going to get to fame. So I felt kind of cool, like placing, but I didn't like place in the top 5. But I was like, okay, cool. I did this thing and we're good. A year later, I got married. So then I competed for the title of Mrs. Colorado. Mrs. Colorado was Mrs. Colorado Springs for Mrs. America. Again, I didn't win, but and these were like ones where I'd place, but I didn't win, and I'd place and I didn't win, and I was okay with that. Because I was the experience. And for Mrs. Colorado, I had to wear a swimsuit as well. Obviously, for Miss Teen USA, you have to wear a swimsuit as well. And that, I think that's where I really started to kind of get this understanding of who my body was and what was going on with my body. Because I was athletic and I did gymnastics, and I was this kid that wanted to be really athletic, and yet I had a booty and I had boobies.
So you're perfect for Miami. That's excellent.
Exactly. Perfect. Exactly.
No, swimsuit's a different kind of. It's two different kind of. It could be swimsuit like one piece or bikinis. I mean that can be self-conscious for a young gal. But was it swimsuit? Was it one piece or bikinis or?
Back then it was one piece, and I'm mortified when I look because someone that I started to know through PageantryNOW found the archive of the pageant and sent me the archive of the whole pageant. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I ever think I was fat? I was like, I had curves, but like now that, they were like curves. And I went, dang, man. But
if you remember,
back then it was one piece.
You remember the song Boz Luhrmann's "Everybody's Free"? He mentions that you won't know how beautiful you are until the beauty fades. It's that song. If you haven't heard it, my dear listeners, I encourage you to go check out "Everybody's Free." It was Boz Luhrmann was just giving a speech, maybe a commencement speech, and they put it to music, and it's just meandering, but so right. And it's something that stuck with me my whole life. I remember, I was a kid. I was a fat kid, but I wasn't as ugly as I thought I was back then. And I thought, and I go, wow, okay, youth fades. I get it. But thankfully, you've kept your youth. I don't know if you're sucking the blood of something. I
was preserved by chemotherapy.
There you go. Perfect. Some people use formaldehyde. Some people chemotherapy. I know it's no laughing matter, but hey, you're living with it, and I'm happy that you're here with me.
I think we're about the same age. Like if you're talking the same age, like. Stuff like
class of 86 rules. I'm 52 years old.
I'm older than you. I turned 55 in June.
Hooray! I just turned 52 January 31st. So now you know my birthday.
Happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exciting. Well, oh man. And then you went to, where'd you go to high school?
Sunset. I went to Miami Sunset. So yeah.
Sunset. My mom was a Central Rocket.
Ooh, there you go.
She
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, she, I guess 68 or 69, something like that, maybe 68. But she was the class that donated one of the rockets that's sitting out there in front of Central High School. That's one of her claims to fame. But Miami,
Cool.
excellent. But your gymnast. You mentioned something about you were gymnastic. You were athletic. When did the gymnastics start?
So from very early, I wanted to be a gymnast, and my parents wouldn't let me. So like when I was 6 and my parents said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to dance. I want to play piano, and I want to do gymnastics." And my parents went, "No, we're going to put you in softball. We're going to put you in tennis, and you're going to make you bowl." And I was like, "Oh, and skiing." I was on skis at the age of 3. I was like, "No, this whole extension of my body and sports and eye-hand coordination is not what I want to do." So at 10, I started doing gymnastics at like a little rec thing where, it was just my mom complained every Saturday morning because she's like, "Oh, we have to go to that place." I'm like, "Just do it, please." And then when I was in high school, Sunset actually had a gymnastics program as part of high school. And for PE, I started doing gymnastics. And that was, I dabbled in cheerleading, between 10 and, 16. And I loved watching gymnasts. So I would make up routines at home, and I was super, super flexible, and I loved it. So I was doing gymnastics, like, cartwheels and handstands and stuff all around my house. So when I finally was able to get into a program, I did it in high school, and joined my team when I was, able to. And then at 18, I dismounted into the balance beam, and my gymnastics professional career ended forever.
What? Hey, we got our first snort on the What Makes You Famous podcast with Stacey Simpson. Thank you.
Snort.
I love it. And no, that's fantastic. But wait, so that was the 2-year, maybe a 3 or 4 year career of gymnastics. Yeah. And what was your forte? What did you like to do? And what was your balance beam or tumbling, or what was your thing?
I'm a girl. Like, I love the bars, and honestly, like, that was what I was good at. And so bars and vaulting were the things I was good at, and the things that I was not good at were floor and balance beam, which kind of they kind of coincide. I would never have thought that, I started coaching at 19. I would never have thought that my summer or my weekend job would be what I'd be doing, 45 years later. God, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Time flies.
And that's how I make my money is gymnastics.
Time flies. But you're talking about the uneven bars, like flipping around and all that kind of thing. You were a flipping around type man. I watch the Olympics, and I'm mesmerized. I'm amazed by the.
But back then it was different. Like what you saw, like what they do now. What I did in those days, now beginner gymnastics, like, and competitively. What we do now is like level 1, where what you see on the Olympics is bananas. Like I see that stuff, and I think there's just no way that these kids are going to do it. And then they raise to the level of doing it. Like not every single, but a lot of my students right now want to be Simone Biles. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this realistically. You're probably not going to be Simone Biles because she's a once in a lifetime gymnast. Like, it's never going to be like that. But I want my kids to still want to achieve that. And so, I've got a little 6-year-old that does that flipping around stuff and just does it like it's just this big joke. And I'm like, you know what? If it makes you happy and you like doing it, I am going to coach you until you tell me you're ready to go someplace else or that you don't want to do it anymore.
Well, in 45 years, you've obviously come up with this balance between you might not get there, but I want you to strive to get there. How do you get the most out of your kids? And you say you started working for someone else. When you got right. I guess you got hurt on the balance beam, and that was it. How hurt? Did you break a leg or something?
I snapped one of the ligaments in my knee, and that was my first knee surgery. So I had my first major knee surgery at 19, and then. Fast forward to the age of 29, I was jumping on a trampoline and my whole tibia popped out of my leg totally. And then I had to have a total reconstruction of my knee at 29. So the year before I was diagnosed with my cancer.
Well, I told you I was an EMT in the ER, and that still made me cringe.
Yeah, ACL, MCL, everything was obliterated.
Wow.
So,
But between then, okay, but you were working for a gymnastics in your 20s, all through your 20s?
right.
Was that the only
Yes.
job you had?
No, I mean, I managed a Gold's Gym for a while. I did sales and stupid mall stuff for a while. But it was really the thing I kept coming back to. So it wasn't what made me money. It was what made me happy. And originally, my original intent was to become an attorney. I actually was fast tracked to go to law school. And the year that I was graduating from my undergrad with my degree in international relations, I got accepted to law school, and I decided I didn't want to do that. And that was when I said, you know what, I think I want to do this gymnastics thing, or at least work with kids for the rest of my life. Gymnastics kind of was just like this crazy extension of what I wanted to do. And I worked for somebody until 1996. So the year that I was diagnosed with my cancer, 6 months before that, I purchased or bought into my first gymnastics studio, my first gymnastics company. I became an owner. And 6 months later, I got diagnosed with my cancer. Actually, it'll be 25 years ago in 2 weeks that I bought into my first gym.
The time. It just keeps going.
Yeah, it keeps going. And I've had this crazy experience. Like I own this really successful gym. If you grew up down here, you might have heard of it, Tumblebees. They were pretty big. They were one of the few gyms here. I worked for them and then became an owner. And then 2000, my original cancer was diagnosed September 11th, 1996. So my 5-year survivor date was September 11th, 2001. And I call that my oh crap moment, because I woke up in the morning really super happy. I was alive. This is my 5-year anniversary, which is what you hear about is you can get to 5 years after having cancer, you're clear. And then 911 happened, and it kind of changed my perspective. And I realized that I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. I was working 80 plus hours a week and making myself crazy running this business. And I called this lady that I know named Kim Zemeskel, who is one of the famous Olympians who had been to my gym openings. And I said, Kim, I heard you're opening a gym and I want to come work for you. And she's like, what? Why would you want to come work for me? She's like, you've got 6 gyms in Miami. Why would you want to be my preschool director? And I'm like, I need a change. And 4 weeks later, I was in Dallas, opening up a gym for Kim Zemeskel and being part of Olympic gymnastics for the first time in my life, and got to be with Bella Caroli and Shannon Miller and like all of the Olympians you've ever heard about, and me going, yeah, this is cool. Oh my God.
Did you get in over your head? Were you swimming like this, or wow?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was an amazing opportunity and I was grateful that I got to do it. But I realized at that point, I didn't want to produce Olympians. I wanted to produce good humans.
Yeah.
And I wanted kids to enjoy the sport the way that I enjoyed the sport. So I worked with Kim in growing her gym, Texas Dreams, for 2 years. I was there the day it opened, and we had 2,000 students. I taught 1,500 of them, which was crazy. But I just, one day I was like, I don't see the world the way you do. And I don't want my, 4 and 5-year-olds to become the next Olympian. I want the 4 and 5-year-olds to become good people that are going to feel good about themselves. And so I opened up my program half a mile away at a recreation center. GYMagination started in 2003 in Dallas. And then we moved back here. I moved back here in 2010. One of my friends, like I said, passed away from cancer, but I'd come home to visit in 2010, and she was end stage, and she really wanted me to be here and said, you're going to help me fight and we're going to overcome this. And I was like, okay. I packed up my whole life in Dallas and moved back here, and GYMagination started here.
GYMagination. Now, did you write?
8-year-old came up with that idea.
Say it again.
a 3-year-old came up with that name. He walked into class at Texas Dreams at Kim's gym, and he looked at me and goes, Miss Stacey, are we going to use our GYMagination today? And I was like, as soon as I write that down, hold on a second.
Yeah. You already had so you were already teaching a philosophy rather than making, Olympic dreams. You were more making people well-rounded, or giving them some exercise, showing them a path, more like a martial art. It's what it sounds like. Tell me the philosophy of GYMagination, and did you come up with it all on your own?
I did. Like I worked with USA Gymnastics for many years. I helped develop their preschool program because that was my thing. Like I ended up going back to school after not becoming an attorney and got my degree in education, and then later on became a registered therapist too. So I actually have my therapy, my master's degree in behavior modification and work with kids with autism. But that was kind of my progression educationally. But the whole idea is that we want the whole child to be happy. I don't want to just make their bodies happy. I want to make their minds happy. I want to give them good self-esteem goals. And the idea that gymnastics is taught just one way, and up until that point, we really had only seen, the world of gymnastics as Bella Caroli had seen it, he was the coach that coached the very first woman to ever get all 10s in gymnastics, Nadia Comaneci, and then went on to coach Kim Zmeskal and Shannon Miller and Mary Lou Retton and this long line of amazing gymnasts. But what I saw was a lot of screaming and yelling and not being kind to these individuals, which was the way gymnastics used to be. But I really wanted to change. I wanted the kids to feel good about themselves, and I wanted them to learn that you can still learn real gymnastics and have someone be your friend and love you and be kind and be generous. And originally the program was designed to be a 2-year-old to 6-year-old program. And I was like, I'm never teaching older kids. We're never doing anything else. And then the first child turned 7, and she's like, so does this mean I have to go to the other place, Miss Stacey? And I was like, no, that's okay. We'll add it to 7. And then it was 8, and then it was 9. Now we have a 14-year-old that says she wants to be with me until she can coach for me. So,
teachers, baby, it's all about teachers.
It is all.
You remember the teachers that helped you along the way. I remember a good 2 handfuls of teachers that helped me along the way that really stick out in my mind. And you're one of those teachers that you have kids that are already going to want to be with you forever, and you're affecting their lives. Oh, and you learned how to teach autism. You kind of brushed over that. Was that also University of Miami? You went and got a degree for that, or?
FIU. I went to FIU.
My mom went to FIU.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was it magna cum laude, and she is a doctor of nursing or a nurse practitioner. My stepdad said, "Stop going to school. I miss you." She just kept going to school, so now she's like a doctor of nursing. I think she's retired finally, but she'll never stop. Every time she meets somebody, she goes, "Be a nurse. You should be a nurse." But you went to school for autism. Did you actually teach classes for the autistic? Or was that something?
Well, we do classes that are for kids that are autistic, but we mainstream them. So we try to integrate them as much as we possibly can. We have a couple of kids that we work one-on-one with them. I was a therapist where I did in-home therapy for 2 years until I got hit by the truck. And then I had to stop because it was physically too demanding. My patients really were patients that needed more physicality out of me, and because my spine got all messed up and my knee, I blew out my knee again, I blew out my shoulder. I couldn't do that. So I kind of found a way to integrate it into the gymnastics program. So we take kids that have, different, and also before I had gone to Dallas, I was part of the Special Olympics here in Florida, and I was the gymnastics director for men's gymnastics for the state of Florida. So I had a really great opportunity to work with a lot of individuals that special needs, and that's really what made me realize that. Me as someone that had special needs and didn't know, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 45. So, which was kind of crazy because one of my professors was like, when I was going to school, said, "I think you're on the spectrum." And I was like, No. My parents have some issues, and but I'm not on the spectrum. And she's like, I think we need to test you. And so she tested me, and it turned out that, yeah, I did actually have Asperger's, which is a form of autism. And I think that that's what makes me better able to deal with understanding, how autism works, because sometimes I feel like people with autism are so smart that they get stuck in their head, and it's trying to find that thing that resonates to make them come back to this place and be not stuck in their head, which is way more interesting than real life.
It's amazing how busy you are and how you keep yourself in so many things. Idle hands, right? Keep yourself busy. I say that to somebody as a person who has 4 jobs myself. So I understand. I understand keeping busy. But there's more to you. PageantryNOW. That's a brand new thing that's happening over the last few years. What's PageantryNOW?
Right. So PageantryNOW, it actually started as kind of crazy. I was doing interviews. I did an interview like this with another pageant outlet, and a couple of times I was a guest. And the next thing that I knew, the Miss Universe organization was going to be here having Miss Universe in 2014. And I laughingly told the owner of this organization, hey, why don't you just send everybody down and we'll do Miss Universe together? And then they sent everybody down and we did Miss Universe together. So I went from being this person who'd been a guest on the show to being this producer and handling like a staff and handling interviews at Miss Universe. And that was 2014. 2015, Miss Universe was held in Las Vegas, and one of my dreams was to go to Las Vegas. I'd been to 42 states because I was Mrs. America Worldwide in 2004, so I traveled all over the United States, but I had never been to Vegas. So I was like, I need to do this. This is, hashtag goals. And little would I know that it would become the most famous Miss Universe ever.
Why?
Because that was the year that Steve Harvey called the wrong name.
Oh, he won't live that down.
Wait, hold on. Because he won't live it down, but he won't let it live down. He actually.
Yeah, he's owning it.
But what's even crazier of that is that I was there, but I was there for another event the night before that I was asked to come and do interviews for. And the entire team from this or the organization left the morning of Miss Universe. So I went with my press credential from one of the other staffers and walked in and said, listen, to the organizer, to one of the organizers. I'm like, listen, Seal's performing tonight. When I was going through my chemotherapy and almost died, his album is what I listened to. I just would like an opportunity to talk to him. And the next thing I knew, I was on the red carpet interviewing everybody at Miss Universe. So I interviewed Charlie Puth. I interviewed Emmett Smith. I was the last interview Steve Harvey did before he walked out on stage.
Your beauty confused him. That's what it was. You mesmerized him with your charisma. It's you.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Like it was so surreal. And then I realized, in the midst of all of this, because there was a lot of backlash, obviously, because he called the wrong name, and then people said that it was a stunt to get more viewership. I'm like, that's dumb. The viewers were already there. They're not trying to get more viewers. This is, it was already over when it happened. And I just realized that pageantry had gotten such a bad rap that I really wanted to highlight what these amazing title holders do, because you see a crowning and you see them give up their crown, but there's 364 days in between that, and we don't ever get to see that. So the idea of PageantryNOW was me. I was on YouNow, and I was just literally talking every night at 8:00 to everybody that would listen to me. And then title holders actually, because in the beginning it was just me talking about pageants and people going, "Who are you, lady?"
Hey, that's how it happens. You said that you said, hey, why don't we do it here? And yeah, everybody came here. That's what happens. If people if you're going to offer the help, people are going to take the help. And I'm glad that they
Right.
have you. So Pageantry Now is kind of interviewing the crowned people as they go through that year. Are you, or are you doing coaching at all, or anything like that, or is it's all
Um,
interviews?
no, now it's just interviews. Like I was doing coaching in the beginning, and that was really the intent. But now it's really about the story.
Yeah.
I want title holders to tell me what they're using their crown for, because for me, I took a break from pageantry, and after I had competed for the title of Mrs. Colorado, I kind of was like, okay, I'm done. And then when my 5-year survivorship happened, I was soul searching when I went to Dallas, and I had a dream. I won a pageant, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got a story now that I can share. And I have this amazing opportunity, if I wear a crown, to share my story. And that was when I started being successful. And I won my first state pageant, and then I won my first national pageant, and then I won my first international pageant. And I realized that if I had those opportunities as a full figured woman, as a woman that would not normally be seen as a pageant title holder, how many other people are out there that have a story that they want to share, and they won't ever get that opportunity to do that. So
I see you, Stacey Simpson. Now, the way you spell Stacey, is that the actual way that's on your birth certificate, or is that something that you came up with?
that's something I came up with. When I was a teenager, my best friend was Tracy, and we called ourselves Stay and Trey. And one day I just went, oh yeah, I'm Stay. And then she went C, and I went, oh, that's brilliant.
Ah. Now, is she Trey C as well?
Trey C, yes.
That is fantastic. See, it's funny how things come along, and that becomes your brand forever and ever. Amen.
I never thought that I would ever have a brand, but now I have a brand. And it's hard to explain to people like that see my birth name, and they go, wait, and I did actually legally change it in the state of Florida.
Mhm.
And then when I moved back from Texas, because I never changed my social security card, the state of Florida would not take the change.
Oh.
So all of my identification has my birth name on it, which is Stacey. So
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Stacey. I could see that as a mono-named person at Stacey. But how do the people find you? And what do you want people to contact you about? Because the heart stuff, the glamour, the pageantry, the GYMagination, which is great. Body image movement, former global advance. Well, there's so much.
You've done some stuff. Yeah,
no, there hasn't. Yeah. That's just me reading on your Facebook page. I could see all these former instructors, and it's pretty easy to get to know somebody, the tent poles, the broad strokes. But you can explain to the people, what you want about all these things.
Right. So if anybody wants to find me, you can always go on Instagram and Facebook at PageantryNOW. I have a new TV show that is just being started that I'm a host for on VIP Pageantry TV, which you can find on any of the streaming apps. So Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, which is called The Crown Table, which is my newest show. We just interviewed Miss Earth. I may or may not be having a Miss Universe and a Miss USA on. So that's one to look for. So you can look me up in VIP Pageantry. And if you want to look up GYMagination, you can look up, it's GYMagination, like you're using your imagination, also on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to send me a message at Stacey V, STAYC, V as in Victor, on Facebook. So that's pretty much it. And if you want to stalk me on Instagram personally, I don't have many people on there. So honestly, reach out to me at PageantryNOW on Instagram, or GYMagination on Instagram, because those are the places I check most often. So.
Well, tell me about GYMagination as it's grown. How many teachers do you have? How many students do you have? Where is it located at? Because that's your bread and butter. That's what keeps the Stacey Simpson train going. Where's that located at?
We are 2750 Coral Way in Miami, Florida. And so it's right outside of Coral Gables. We're right on the main thoroughfare. And GYMagination, like, you know, when we came to Miami, we had 28 students. Actually, 4 years ago, we had like 48 students. And then a year ago, we got to a magic 200 because I brought my husband into the business with me. He was a chef, and then he said, you know, I like what you do, and I think I want to do this. And I was like, no, you don't want to do what I do.
So have you put him on the balance beam, or what kind of gymnastics is he doing?
Awesome videos. If you go to YouTube or our Instagram or even our Facebook page, Mr. Mike is doing the floor routine. He broke one of the balance beams. Like, he was doing the balance beam routine and actually broke.
Mr. Mike.
But honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. We worked together all day long. And we were in a City of Miami park until the pandemic happened. The City of Miami park we were in closed down a year ago. And one of our parents heard that we were looking for another place and had this brand new building on Coral Way and said, come, we will rent to you. We will work it out. And we moved in the middle of the pandemic, and it was the best decision we ever made. Not that I don't want to be in the City of Miami park anymore, but it blew up. Like, it's crazy. We were a staff of 2, then we were a staff of 3, now we're a staff of 5. And we went from our original location in Miami was a 20 by 20 room. Then we went to a 30 by 30 room. Then we went to a 900 square foot room. Now we are in a 1,500 square foot room. And it looks, hopefully by the end of the year, that we will be in a 4,000 square foot room.
Wow.
So
GYMagination just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I love it. I love it. And I'm so happy to be talking to you, Stacey Simpson. You know, it's just, I've been following you around for a little bit, stalking you, as it were. You know, I haven't slid into your.
I'm embarrassed to say something to you because I was like, dude, like, just go look at my other stuff because my personal one is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't slide into people's DMs. Business only. Business only, you know, but yeah, I appreciate knowing you, and I'm glad that we got to have this talk. And you know, I don't want this to be the last time we talk. You know, are there any other avenues you want to explore? Any shout outs you want to give to the people? I notice you have Mr. Mike as the husband. How's the family life? You know, any kids that you want to brag on?
Because of the cancer, I can't have kids. I've been pregnant 9 times. So I have 2 amazing dachshunds that are my life. And my sister-in-law, Debbie, who is my best friend. But I mean, Mr. Mike and Miss Kristen, who is our business partner, who started out as a coach for us, and now she's a business partner. They make my life a whole lot easier. And I mean, whatever, like I love this. I love sharing my story. And my sister-in-law is an introvert, so she's always like, why do you talk to everybody? And I'm like, because somebody might need to hear my story. Someone might need to hear it.
Well, I want to talk to your sister because everybody has a story. Everybody. From the time you're born, you start to build up. You start to build up things in your head, and you get experiences. So everybody's got a story, and I'm so happy to hear your story. I want
to hear more about yours. Like, you come down here, we got to go hang out. Like,
for sure.
I love hearing about, because how did you end up in Arkansas?
I married a hillbilly. I married a hillbilly. Yeah.
Oh, that would do it.
Oh, I married her in the Florida Keys, in Key Largo. Her dad was a cop in Benton, Arkansas, and he said, before I retire, I want to go down to the Florida Keys or go down and be near the ocean. And he had a job at the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, and she went with him because she was young enough. And here I am at a club at Coconuts, and I see this girl dancing down there, and I go, I got to know her. And, you know, then they retired. Her mom and dad retired, went back to Arkansas. And I was on the radio, and she says, I miss my mommy and daddy. And then I gave up the radio job and moved to Arkansas, started my life all over again at 40 years old. And, hey, I'm all the better for it. She's a great gal. And it's nice. It's nice being married. It really is. I could tell Mr. Mike makes you happy.
I agree. Yeah, and Mike I met after I got hit by the truck. So Mike is husband number 4.
Hey, that's my mama. Mama's on husband number 4, and Excellent. And it's like over 20 years now for that one. So
I love
yes,
him.
you know.
I love it. He's
Okay.
amazing.
Where were you running that you got hit by a truck before we go?
Oh, I was competing. I was going to do the try here, the Miami try. Um, and then that was it. And then the goal was to do the Disney half or the Disney full. I ended up doing the Disney half, the princess. I can't believe it's been 5 years. Like it's crazy. So I got to get back into it. I've taken some time off because, the bypass kind of threw me off a little bit. So we'll work on it. Like
Well,
things I got to work on and do.
I remember running on the street. When I was a firefighter down in the Keys, I would run up and
Oh,
down.
I did Coconut Grove, so I did Bayshore, and I was in front of Mercy when I got hit by the truck, literally
Perfect.
in the intersection of Mercy.
Perfect place to get hit by a truck. Don't get hit by a truck. People that are running, just run in a park. Quit running on the street. Now, I see people that run on the street all the time, especially when you get in a certain kind of shape. You want to show it off a little bit. Let me go run on the street.
Well, that was because I was training with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and that
Oh.
was the run that we always did was up Bayshore because that's where they have the big running areas here in the Grove or in Miami, and then you do the Key Biscayne and you go over the Rickenbacker. I'm using my hand, and people are like, "What are you talking about, lady?" But there's this huge bridge, so they usually have people run up and down that bridge so that you can, because there's nothing elevated in Miami.
Nope.
Like there's an on-ramp and people freak out because that's the highest elevation you're going to get. So this bridge over going onto Key Biscayne is like this super high bridge. And so I was coming back from doing the train to go up to that bridge. And on the way back, I was in the biking lane and a truck ran a red light and I ended up underneath him.
Yikes.
And there you go.
And there
And the
you
rest
go.
is history.
Yeah. But you're here now, and you're strong. You're getting stronger every day. Are you doing any of the? Do you have like weight training in the gymnastics as well, and that kind of thing?
No, we really are try to work on core, and that was what the doctor said. The thing that saved my life because the handlebars went into my abdomen, and it should have been much worse. But they said the thing that saved my life was gymnastics. If I had not have had such a strong core, if I had not have been doing all of the things that I was doing. To be because I was doing gymnastics with my students too, and trying to challenge them. So I would do all these ab workouts, and they said that because my core was so strong is what saved my life. Because they said that any other person I would have snapped my spinal cord. So.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Way to bring it down. Why did I end it on the low note? No, we got to end it on a high note. Everything's good. Everything's getting better. What's on the horizon for you? What's coming soon as we break out of coronavirus quarantine? What are we doing in the next?
My hope is, like I said, I'm interviewing Miss USA and Miss Universe next week. And not my hope; it's definitely going to happen. But my hope is to be at Miss Universe live. So once I get my second vaccine, which is in 2 weeks, we're waiting for the announcement of where Miss Universe will be, and I'm hoping that the Miss Universe staff will be kind enough to let me come and be there. And be able to interview the newest Miss Universe, which I love that. I love that changeover. It's so exciting for me. And I'm hoping, like, I've never been out of the United States. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I've been to Canada because growing up in Michigan, Canada was growing across a bridge, so it wasn't a big deal. And I've been to the Bahamas, but I really, I want to travel. Like, as soon as we can get my husband vaccinated, like, I'm so tired of being in the house, and I've got a limited amount of time. We've got to go out and make the best of it. And I have 2 things left on my bucket list because my husband and I made a bucket list in 2012 because he proposed on February 14th, 2012. After I got my first pacemaker put in, and it was post-op, so I don't remember saying yes, but he says I did, so we'll go with that. And 2 weeks later, we got married on February 29th, so I only have an anniversary every 4 years, which is brilliant for a man because there you go.
I have a cousin like that. Got married on Crandon Park, on the top of Crandon Park, and February 29th, years ago, years and years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got married here, and but we made up we made up a bucket list, and the two things that are left on my bucket list. The one is I would like to go to the Ellen show. I have been in line at the Ellen show, but I have not made it into the studio. So that is goal number one. And goal number two is to go into a very special thing called Club 33, which is a secret special place at Disney. And I want to go there. You have to be invited, and you cannot just go into it. Originally it's part of Disneyland, but now I know there's 4 at Disney World. So I'm a huge Disney person. So I would like to go to all of the Disney parks everywhere in the world. So there you go.
Yeah, you have to be invited, or you have to be very rich. I think it's like 25 grand. I listened to Chris Hardwick.
$33,000.
33,000. Yeah. Okay. Chris Hardwick, the Nerdist, he's on it. He brags about it all the time.
Does he really go? Oh my God.
He's paid for it, and he's in the club. Him and his wife go all the time. As far as he says, or at least they did. But yeah.
Wait, are you a Walking Dead guy?
Not really. I mean, I did the first 2 seasons, and then it was just, okay, I get it. People are zombies. All right. But I do go to Comic-Cons.
Did you read the graphic novel? Did you read the graphic novel or no?
No, but I've seen it. I've thumbed through it. You know, I go to Comic-Cons here in Arkansas, and I get to DJ at the Comic-Cons. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I get invited to go, and I get to see all the cool stuff. So, yeah, I'm familiar with the pop culture, but no, I'm not a Walking Dead fan. Although I appreciate it, it's a good story. But and I've met some of the characters, at various cons here and there. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'm a gamer geek, so we could have this. I was beta tester for World of Warcraft.
All right, I'm a big dummy because I did Atari 2600 way back when I was a kid, and I really got out of video games. I went off and I lived my life. I went and I became a DJ, then a firefighter, then, stayed with the DJ stuff, EMT, just lived my life and, didn't even watch television all that much, but just recently.
But you like comic books. So what's your favorite comic book?
Well, X-Men. My favorite is Captain America, Thor. Those are like the top 2 that I used to collect all the time. And then X-Men. I guess Apocalypse was one that I was collecting back in the late 70s, early 80s. But the thing about it was I bought my kid my girl a Switch. And she started playing Animal Crossing. And then my wife says, I want to play Animal Crossing. So I bought her a Switch. And then I lost the 2 of them, So then I started playing Fortnite online. Now I'm streaming Fortnite online as Keys Dan Gaming.
Are you serious?
I've won a few times, it's that rush you get, that I guess is a dopamine rush. I get to the top 50, I get to the top 25, I get to the top 10, but then you make that number 1 victory royale. Yay, I win. So I've done that about 15 times. Yay. Out of 1,600 games.
Yeah, but you know what? There's something about it. And honestly, gaming is what helps keep my autism in check. So when I start to, I always tell my husband, I feel like I spin out of control when my autism starts to become less controllable. Mm-hmm. And he'll hand me my phone and go, here. Because what I did when I was a teenager is I played Tetris to be able to kind of keep my brain going.
Yeah.
So something about having repetitive, and a lot of people that have autism play the games because they try to figure out the patterns. So for me, that was the whole thing, is I would sit and try to, I was that crazy girl that'd be like, yeah, this is what you do right here for Nintendo, and, and figure out how to figure it all out. And my friends would be like, wait, you finished Mario Brothers overnight? I'm like, yep, I'm good.
I remember those days, and I had friends that had I had the Atari 2600, but I had friends that had the Nintendo and such. So every once in a while I would go over, oh yeah, Mario Brothers. Oh, look at that, carts. And the Switch, we were playing Mario Kart and Battle Brothers or whatever. But and then I have all these games loaded up. I have World of Warcraft. I kind of stepped into it, and no, well, that seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to get into.
Yeah, it's an investment. Like a whole marriage was ended over one more grass.
That is what I don't want. I don't want. I want to spend like today. I played for about an hour. I won a victory, and I said, "Okay, I'm out of here." And I made the little snippet at the end into my header for the Keys Dan Gaming Facebook page, and that was it. Cool. I spent an hour, and I'm done. But I'll spin this program that we're currently on right now. I'll get it all loaded up. I'll send you the links and such. Why am I saying this during the podcast? But
why not?
But why not? This is.
We've been on an hour and 15 minutes. That's crazy. I hate when this happens. I do this.
I don't.
Happens with Pageantry.NOW. I start talking to people and I'm like, oh, I like you. So
I've had 3-hour podcasts and I love them. But I'm going to tell the people now how the sausage is made. Now I'll take the video and I will scan it down, maybe do a light editing, cut out the little breaks, and then I will put the audio version into my Adobe Audition, and I will raise the levels and cut out all the dead air and make it sound pretty. Put it up on my Anchor.fm for free, and then put the audio version out there, put the video version out there, and everybody can see the lovely Stacey Simpson that's been sitting next to me the whole time. Oh. All right. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. I do not want this to be the last time we talk. There will be part 2, 3, 4, 5, infinity. As time progresses, as things happen, I want to learn more about you. And if you have anything to promote, of course, come on back. I'm here for you. So Stacey Simpson, I want to do the last words for the people. This could be words to live by that you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you live by every day. I wake up and I look in the mirror and I say this, or it could just be whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Stacey Simpson, last words for the people.
Do you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So today is a present. Open it up, because you don't have yesterday, you don't have tomorrow, but you got today. Could be the worst present ever, but it could be the best Christmas ever. You don't know. So live it, open it up, make the best out of it. Do you?
Well, there you have it, party people. The lovely Stacey Simpson. I liked that conversation. That was a good one. She has so many avenues to explore. Surviving cancer, then you go help out the Cancer Association. You hurt yourself in gymnastics, then you go help out some other people that want to learn gymnastics. You turn what could be tragedies into possibilities. You turn tragedy into possibility, and she's turned her life into helping other people. Yeah, you make a couple bucks, but you help other people. That's what we need to be doing our whole lives, is helping other people. You get into pageants, you make it all, almost to the top. Well, I'm going to help other people as well. And then you get to the top and you help other people get to the top as well. That's fantastic. Tell their stories. You keep telling those stories. Tell your story, and in turn, tell their stories. It all revolves. We help each other is what we do as we get along in this world, as we travel on this great ball that we call Earth. Yeah, fantastic. Stacey Simpson, your story is just beginning, and I want to hear more as time progresses. Keep it going. Stacey Simpson, thank you so much for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Now, if I'm turning my attention to you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call. 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.